ladies and gentlemen, for the third week in a row, welcome back to the number one podcast in the world right now. Correct me
if I'm
wrong. Killing it.
Oh, hold on. I had some technical difficulties there.
Already? We just started.
My bad. My headphone unplugged. But did you know today, when this episode is live, this is episode number
100?
I don't know. 50?
50!
Oh!
Episode 50, the big
Killing it.
5. Oh, yes.
Good guess.
We're
We
50
killed
years
it.
old.
We are 50 years old from right now, son. Woo! Anyways, so precisely 15 years ago, Devin, when we started this podcast, what were your first thoughts of it at this time, or at that time rather, and what are your thoughts of how it's going today?
One of my first impressions of this at first, I thought it was pretty hard. I was trying to think of these topics, but it's been fun, especially with all four of us together. I think it's fun having great conversation. It's funny. But yeah, that's what I think. What about you, Nate?
It's fun. Like I just like it because we laugh and we get together and we laugh. So it's fun.
It's a blast because you're right. But like internally, like I'm not as nervous as I was the first time because I feel like the first time when we first started doing the episodes, I was kind of everything I would say was nervous. Now it's just nerve wracking when we first start, when we first sit down. After that, it kind of goes away. So I feel like it's a little smoother and it goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's not as nerve wracking at first once you start like talking and everything. Yeah.
Has anyone brought up anything from the podcast, like any funny stories about what we've said, anything like that?
After we did the childhood insecurities, my grandma, she came up to me and she's like, Devin, are you okay? Was your childhood all right, Devin? Is there something you want to talk about? It's like, Granny, I was fine. It was just rough. But.
It was just rough. You had a good child? Yes, it's just rough.
Yeah. It's a little hard.
I'm a man now.
Well, amazing. You have a buddy that like blasts us on his speakers,
Yes.
right?
Again, shout out to Alec. He sent me a text message super early one morning, and it was literally a video of him at work with these huge speakers blaring our podcast. And he's like, buddy, I listen to y'all's podcast while I work. That way I can kind of get through the day or whatever. And I was like, I thought that was super cool. And it was just kind of cool to hear other people talk about, hey, look, I do check this out on occasion. It's not something that like it's forced upon me or anything. Like they'll listen to it and be like, hey, that episode was pretty cool. So it's pretty dope.
That just kind of warms my heart, just hearing that. Like I've heard people say that before, like, hey, I heard your podcast. I really like it. Y'all are really funny. It's just like we put a lot of work to this, but I don't think people notice. Like, don't think that we put a lot of work to this, but we do. And when you hear that, it's great. Warms my heart.
Yeah, it is super cool because when we started, I thought, okay, we're gonna get 2 views. One's gonna be me, and the other one's gonna be my mom. And like to see, how we get like these consistent number of views, right? Is way better than I would have thought. So it's really cool that we get to do it and it's fun and it's. Woo!
Yeah, for sure. And I think kind of to hark back on what Devin said is it is kind of a little bit of work, right? Like to remember like the topics every single week. Like we were talking just really before this, and it was like, hey buddy, what's your topics? And you're like, I don't know, I was slacking. So it's kind of hard to continuously think of topics to talk about every single week. So, but it's super cool. But the one thing I did want to talk about was my dad apparently found it hilarious that we called you a G. I haven't heard my dad laugh that hard over the phone in so long, and he was like, "I lost it when y'all called him a G."
That is crazy to see like Devin evolve, right? Because in the first episodes he's all quiet, like he's like, "Hey, my name's Devin," and now he talks a lot more. And it's cool, man. It's fun. It's been a blast
For sure.
Just to let y'all know, he was the only one who found it funny. When I first heard about it, it was not funny.
And I think too, like it's for you guys, because I kind of hopped on the bandwagon a little bit later than everybody, right? You guys have been doing this a little bit longer than I have. So when I started, you guys were already pretty comfortable with it, so it made me feel like, oh no, like I don't know about this. This is gonna be tough.
Yeah, you even said the other day that you were like, man, it's cool like to sit down and like sometimes we'll go through all the episodes that we had, and you're like, man, I wish we could do a couple more. Like,
yes.
It was already kind of in, so it does we do this for a couple hours, and it makes the time fly by. So it's super cool, and it's cool too because my mom will call me every now and then. She goes, "I thought of what I would say," and she'll tell me what she would say, or she'll call me like, "I could think anything, but I agree with you." So it is cool. It's cool to like see that. but we do have to talk about the one hater that we have that keeps going on our YouTube channel, disliking every video for the past like 6 or 7.
Who hurt you?
Who just goes on the video, dislike these West Texas people that are just making videos. How dare you?
Man, who hurt you, man? I'm sorry.
I think that's so crazy to go like out of your way to like
Yes.
Listen.
yeah, just like listen to the dislike it on anything, right? Like why dislike anything, you know?
Like, is it the same person too? Like, do you know who?
Probably.
It doesn't
I
show.
bet
I
you
don't know,
it
yeah.
probably is the same person. It's like, what did we
That's
do
what
to
I
you?
asked Patrick too. Like, I wish you'd be able to see who it is, just so you can know. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like, show me your face.
Block,
Coward.
Block you.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
then they wouldn't be able to hear this one.
Oh yeah,
That's true.
you're getting us abused.
Yeah, for sure. People I work with, people I talk to throughout the day, that whenever I kind of get a chance to talk about the podcast, like the people always have their own opinion. So it's like super
Yep.
curious, and like some people get super passionate about it. Like for example, this girl at work I talked to, like she got super passionate about the stay at home episode. We talked about the being a parent, the stay at home mom or dad, and she sided with Devin, and I mean passionately.
She sided with me?
Yes, passionately. I'm
That's
talking
crazy.
like she put her foot down and was like, I'm not staying home. I don't care what. She goes, I'm not giving up my even if it's a job I'm not happy with, I'm not giving up my independence. I was like, whoa, you are passionate. And I expect that. Devin kind of folded.
Devin was like, okay, I'll go to work. Yeah, no, for sure. I even had a buddy at work too the other day that said, "Man, I wish you guys did like call-ins, so yeah, that way I could have gave my opinion. Y'all should have called me. No, I'm giving y'all my opinion."
Which that
So,
would be a great idea, but again, we talked about how hard that would be.
yeah. So, but it's been super fun. But with all our reminiscing that we have today, right? Our first thing we're gonna kind of go into is our first impressions of each other when we first met each other, long ago, a couple weeks ago. What our first impression was. All right. So we're gonna start off first impressions because I've been talking the whole time. What first impressions of me? All right?
Oh, of course you would.
I go first.
I feel like you should
So
go first.
no, that's not how this show works. I'm just kidding. No, but so we'll start with Mesa. What was your first impression?
I knew you were gonna pick me for some reason. I was like, it's gonna pick me.
Sorry, Mesa Lou. Sorry about that.
Mesa Lou.
Mesa Lou and the Hizzy. I didn't even introduce everybody, by the way. To my left, I have Devin. Right in front of me, Mesa. Right to my right, I have Nene. Yeah. So, by the way, in case
We're out
y'all
here.
were wondering,
Nobody called in sick today.
that is true.
So first impression, that's tough. So the first time we met, we talked about briefly was at Twin Peaks, right? You had just started, and I'd been there for at least a couple months, so I was a little bit. I'd been there for a little bit longer than you have, so you and Cody showed up, and you're the new guys, and I was in a bad mood because a girl. And a specific girl that drove me nuts. So I didn't really have like a huge first impression. I see you seemed okay. I wasn't like this guy's super cool or anything.
That's rude.
Or like I didn't have like oh this guy's a you know what. But I was okay with you at that point. But I think as we kind of got to know each other at work is when we kind of realized we had a similar sense of humor. I think we laughed at the same jokes and we like talked about like Madden and stuff like that. And that's the first time we hung out. Right, was when we got a chance to play NFL Madden at your apartment, and you found it strange apparently. I didn't want to go to bus by myself, so I'm like, "Hey, new guy, you want to go with me?"
So that was weird. It's because like I've been hanging out with Cody was there, right? And I've been hanging out with Cody for a while. And I started hanging out with Cody because I talked about Madden and how good I was, and he was like, "Oh man, sure," because he thought he was good, right?
Right.
And I was really good, right? I'm above the level, right? So he came over and I was like beating him consistently, right, at Madden, right? And then so we all came over, but Mesa was like the one I didn't talk to like out of the group, right? So then he was the one that was like, "Hey bro, I'll go buffs," and I was like, So it's like that's what getting in the car with strangers. My mom told me growing up, so here I am how to break that rule. But yeah,
And it turned out pretty good.
did turn out okay.
Turned out whoa, that really hurt. No, but like I said, I thought it was really cool, and I think we kind of eventually were like, oh, like I think we're good friends now.
When I first met you was at work, and then I just remember seeing you. We didn't really talk in the beginning too much. Oh, you used to come and ask questions because remember I used to work in the front. Like I was the
Experience
whatever I was,
specialist.
experience specialist. So you would come up and ask some questions, and I would kind of tell you what to do. Like yeah, I remember that.
Like now.
And then, but we didn't start hanging out till that one time whenever we went to go play volleyball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all went to go
That
play
was the
volleyball.
first
Remember?
time.
That's right.
All of us would go play volleyball and basketball and went to go hang out at the park.
Yep. And then that's when I hung out with you the first time. And then I just remember thinking you were really funny and you made me laugh. And then I went from there. We just had a lot of fun.
Super funny, and I do like to laugh. That's good. All right, Devin, your lucky turn here.
Ooh. So like what I said in the first podcast, I've known Patrick since school. We both went to the same public school. Both went to sixth grade together, but I don't think we really knew each other at the time. But I do remember the first time I had a class with you, and it was in eighth grade. Do you remember?
I remember eighth grade health.
Health grade, eighth grade
Health
health.
grade. Health grade.
I like it.
And he, he was pretty cool, but I don't know. I remember him telling him this, but I don't know if he remembers. I remember one time we were just talking about, girls that we liked, and I liked this girl, but he liked the same one. I thought to myself,
I do remember that.
this mother trucker, he likes this girl. He probably has a better shot than me. So for a while, I was kind of like, man, but after that, we knew each other through band because we were in band, but we didn't really start hanging out with each other till college. So when I saw him one day in college class, in the first semester, I was a wreck. I didn't know anybody. I was so sad and everything. And I saw him in college one day, and he was like, "Hey, Dev." I was like, "What's up, Patrick?" And then we just started hanging out from there.
That's so
We
crazy.
did hang out. Yeah, so much in college. We hung out. In high school, we never hung out, but we say what's up, Dad,
Right.
what's up, Patrick. But we never hung out, which is super crazy.
Yeah. So we'll go with Nay.
He's looking straight at me.
I'm looking
Nay.
straight
So
at
when
you.
I don't remember the first time I met Devin at all.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about I start with you? How about you want to do that?
No. I
Okay.
could go with you, but I just don't remember where exactly. But I would think that it had to be like here, and that we were all
Like
hanging
in
out.
our podcast studio?
No, like
Upper
bet you-
Manhattan?
like at his apartment,
private
maybe,
jet?
maybe everybody was just hanging out. That's the only thing I could think of. And then, so at first I thought he was just really quiet, and that was it. Mostly he was very quiet. He seemed kind of shy. And then as I started to get to know him, we started, me and Devin are pretty cool. Like, I look at him like a brother. Like, he's
Oh my
actually
gosh.
funny
Oh.
now. Like, he's really
He's
cool.
actually
like,
funny.
He's
now.
actually
funny.
It just took a year.
yeah, he's actually really funny, and like I don't know, we could have like deep conversations, so it's cool.
Deep.
So I could look at him for advice. Yeah, so it's
That's
changed.
beautiful. I feel like y'all bonded there. a
Yeah,
little
we
bit.
bonded.
that sounds
We-
like
we-
it.
We
Like,
bond,
oh my gosh,
and then
like-
I do something to mess it up. Remember that one time? Yep.
Oh, one time, yes. But so it's my turn to say something. Okay, so all right.
Be me.
Your first.
Dun, dun,
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
dun.
Let's do this.
And this is gonna sound terrible, but I also don't remember the first time I met Devin, which is it's so strange. But to be fair, you don't remember the first time you met me either, though. So
Guys, I'm like a ninja. I could be anywhere. That's how quiet I am.
apparently, and just to kind of touch back on that is the fact that that was my first thought is he's really quiet, kind of keeps to himself a little bit. You turned out to be super cool. I definitely consider you one of my close friends now. Yeah, you're funny, man. I have blasts with you normally. Like, sometimes when Patrick's out somewhere doing something or whatever, I can be like, "What's up, Devin?" So whenever we do our car rides to here to hang out, I definitely get a chance to talk to Devin. He's cool. He's dope.
This is like the greatest right now.
That's what it's Thanksgiving month, bro. We're giving our thanks to each other,
And we like to give Devin advice on the girls.
That is true. We give
Yes.
Devin advice on a lot of things, like
Yes.
life, basically.
That is true.
Oh my gosh,
Give a lot of
Patrick!
life
They're-
lessons to
Oh, yeah,
good old
that-
Devin here.
They're the big brothers.
That
They're-
podcast
Man.
hasn't come out yet.
Devin's mini life lessons over here.
Oh,
We
you
gotta
should-
look out for you, man.
You gotta literally write those down one day.
Right,
Just talk
all the
about
lessons we've learned. So I don't really remember anyone else in that class other than Devin, really. So
And what
Yeah.
did you think of him?
I thought he was sexy beast, man.
Best thing I've heard all day.
Nah, but same thing. He was quiet. I talked a lot in high school. Like, I'm really shy now. But man, in high school,
Okay.
I talked a lot. I was talk, and I would talk to everybody. Everyone that was around me. Talk.
You mean like now?
Whoa.
I mean, what?
But yeah, so I probably talked to him before he probably talked to me.
Most
So,
likely.
Makes sense.
yeah.
So what do you think now?
I mean, he's okay. Didn't want his head to get too big, you know what I mean?
He was enjoying it. He was like, "This is the best day ever."
God dang it! Then Patrick has to go ruin it all. Nah, I've like known Devin for a long time at this point. I mean, obviously I've known him since 8th grade, but we've been hanging out since college, like we said, and we hang out like consistently. I at least have him on the phone at least once a week, if not multiple more times. So no, I mean we've known each other forever now. I can't get rid of him. I've tried. Yeah. Our first impressions on Mesa Lou.
Interesting.
So I'll go first, right? So going back to the Twin Peaks story, everyone else like introduced themselves except for this guy across the table. He didn't say anything to us at all, and I was like, okay, right? And so that was my first impression of him. I was like, man, this guy just okay, my bad. I mean, to step in your table with your buddies. So yeah, that was my first impression.
Fair. Again, to be fair, man, she used to drive me nuts.
I remember the first time we went on a trip, which is crazy. We went to Ruidoso that one year, right? That was like our first trip to go on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And like even at that time, we'd been kind of hanging out, but I thought, man, he doesn't want to like hang out with us, like go else. I thought we were just like your work buddies or whatever.
Right.
So I told you like literally last second. I remember telling you like a month or something before. It was like, hey, bro, like we're about to go on a trip. All the beds are kind of sold already, but if you want to sleep on the air mattress, you can. You're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay then. Yeah, no, that was pretty cool.
When I first met you, your name was Mesa Lou, but you legally changed it to Mesa. I don't know why. No, just kidding. But Mesa was kind of right. I really don't remember meeting Mesa, but I do remember meeting him. I remember they were probably playing video games. Most likely, they were probably in Patrick's apartment playing video games, and I just said, "What's up to him?" And like I said, I'm quiet, and that was probably about it. But, ever since then, he's been a great friend. He's funny. We could talk about sports. He likes to argue about sports. He loves LeBron James for some reason. He's the greatest ever. But no, he's just great, man. I appreciate your friendship.
No doubt, buddy. Appreciate you.
I actually met Mesa at work. The first time I saw him, he was at a computer, I think, doing like work, and I was like, "Hey, I know you from Fort Stockton." And then in my head, I'm thinking he used to play basketball, and he was always the one that sat on that. What is it called again?
The bench.
Wow, which is not true, by the way.
Sorry. So funny because me and Patrick have actually talked about that, how we're going to set that up for you.
Yes. She told me like her real story, right? She'll tell you in a second. I was like, wait. But before that, Maze was like, that was going to hurt his pride. Like, you got to sit there telling you just warm the bench.
I just want to point out how everyone was super nice all this whole segment. Patrick has to be a you-know-what.
But no, I just remember he was sitting in his... And then I remember thinking, because I remember Mesa, like, he's good at basketball. Like, I actually remember, like, this is a guy who was pretty good at basketball from Fort Stockton. And that's pretty much all I remember of Mesa. And then just thinking, like, he was pretty cool. He was a hard worker. He was always, like, working. I wouldn't remember, like, really talking to him for a while. And then, well, of course, now he's Mesa. Now I found out more stuff that I know him more of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more to Mesa.
He's not just a bench warmer.
I blame Patrick for all my slacking now. I was a hard worker before I met Patrick.
And now you have more fun.
So my first impression of Nay was, so I didn't know who you were originally. So I think when you were like, hey, like, aren't you from Fort Stockton? I was like, oh, shoot, yeah, I do know you. And then we started talking, and then I remembered that I used to date your sister.
I didn't know that was going to be a thing to talk about.
Yeah.
So, like, that's how I knew. So then that's how we knew each other.
Yeah. The first time we actually hung out, which you texted me one night and was like, we're going to watch a movie. I was like, I don't know you that well. I don't know you that well. And you're like, well, Diana said it's fine.
Who else went?
I think it was Jesus
okay, so
Marie,
to start the story basically is you invited me and I panicked. I panicked because I was like, I don't know Naomi that well and I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I text Patrick first and he's like, I'm busy. And I was like, okay, Cody, I'm busy. And I was like, I'm running out of people. I texted Jennifer, I'm busy. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, Jesus. I texted Jesus and he was like, I'm down.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, this is going to make things so much more comfortable. I was wrong. He brought his girlfriend, which then made it seem like a double date. which it wasn't. And Naomi didn't let me forget it the entire time. Because as we went to the movie, we walk up to get, actually, I'm sorry, we introduce ourselves to Jesus and his girlfriend. And the first thing out of Naomi's mouth is, this is not a date. And I was like, okay, thanks. And then we go to the concession stand. I'm like, hey, do you want something? And she's like, yeah, popcorn and a Coke. I'm like, great. So as the guy comes up, he's like, what can I get you? And then she says, this is not a date. I was like, I don't think you needed to know that. But okay. Yes. So, but now Naomi's great. I love her. She's awesome. She's definitely one of my best friends.
This is not a date.
She
not a date, by the way.
It was. She made pretty much everyone in the entire theater know that it was not a date.
And I don't know why. I guess I really wanted to see that movie, and I had nobody to go with. So then I said, "Oh, Mesa will take me."
Yep. And I got forced into that, and I don't even know what we watched.
Before I say my impression of Nay, Mesa, just to let you know, this is not a date. Just because we're sitting next to each other, don't look at me like that. No.
It's too late.
Oh.
You already accepted.
Oh, okay. No, it was actually. Do you remember when on Tuesdays everyone would go to movie? You know, it was
Movie Tuesdays.
It was movie Tuesday. It was a movie Tuesday. That's when it was. But you were quiet, just like me. So that's why I remember seeing you. It's like, oh, who's that? You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's nice. It's like, okay, cool. But that was my first impression because yours is very similar to me. When you don't really know somebody, you're quiet at first. And I think that's why sometimes we can get along. It's because we're both quiet and then we kind of talk to each other later. We kind of are goofy. But yeah, you're a great friend too. I look to you for advice too. Sometimes I'm afraid to ask you advice, especially when it comes to, life lessons. But, I go to you too. And, we've been going on these trips. And I think going on these trips have made it a lot better. Even though, yes, sometimes you do make me angry. but it's just like,
Fight like siblings. I gotta be the dad. Hey, quit it.
I'll pull this car over. I'll pull over. I'm not afraid to do it.
But no, it's just, no, I enjoy having you around. You're a great friend, man.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful.